So all the time we talk about how you can study in the USA, but is it possible that if you do not have any academic qualifications, you can relocate to the US, even with your family on a green card? I know you know about the green card lottery. I know you know about the F1 visa and all that. But how about a certain category of visa that could allow you to work with a US company and also get green card in the process? Today, the Fred Effect team is collaborating with BDV Solutions to let you know about the category of visa that would allow you to relocate from your home country. And even if you're on any category of visa, whether a visitor's visa, an F1 visa, is it possible that you can change your status to a green card and be able to work with a company? The company is going to provide you the sponsorship. What is involved? How do you get started? How long is it going to take you? How much is even involved in the first place? Is it worth it, putting in the time and effort to do this? Today I'm speaking with an expert from BDV Solutions to answer all these questions. Get your pens and papers ready. Tell a friend to tell a friend that the Fred Effect is on, and today is a will be super exciting session, and there's a lot to learn from this session as well. If you're watching us, we are live on X on the Fred Effect YouTube channel. We are also live on YouTube. We are live on Facebook as well as Instagram, and then also on TikTok. Click on the subscribe button. Be sure to stay tuned until the entire session is over. There's a lot to uncover today. So let me bring Sarah on, and then we get started. Hi, Sarah. How you doing?
Hi, everybody. I'm doing well. Thank you, Fred, for having me. I'm really excited to talk a little bit more about BDV solutions and the EB3 process, and hopefully it's informative for your audience, and just excited to be here.
Great. Let's start with a little bit of introduction. What is your position at BDV Solutions, and what can you tell us about BDV Solutions and what you do?
Sure. So my name is Sarah. Again, I am sales manager at BDV Solutions. I've been here for about 3 years. I'm also an immigrant myself. I'm from Colombia, South America. I did not immigrate on the EB3 process, but I think that if my family had known about the EB3 process, 15 years ago, they probably would have done it rather than what we did, because ours took a very long time. But about BDV Solutions, we are a leading immigration services company, which specializes in helping individuals from all over the world navigate the complexities of the U.S. immigration, particularly through employment-based visas, like the EB3 unskilled visa. So our mission is basically to guide clients through every step of the process until they secure their green card at the end and achieve that American dream.
Wow, that's awesome. And I know there are three categories of the EB3. So there is the skilled, there is the professional side, and there's also the unskilled. So when you say unskilled, what does it specifically mean?
Yeah, so unskilled are jobs that don't require any more than 2 years of experience or education. So no experience or education is required. So the industries that we typically work in are things like restaurants, production, housekeeping, janitorial, warehouse jobs. A lot of jobs where these companies are in a huge labor shortage in the U.S. and are able to sponsor foreign nationals for. A lot of people will ask me, do I have to be unskilled? If I'm skilled, do I still qualify? You do still qualify. You can't be denied for being overqualified. And actually, a lot of our applicants end up being skilled professionals, end up doing the EB3 unskilled, because it's a little more of a straightforward path to a green card than the other two categories.
Great. So let's understand who qualifies to be, to take, the EB3 unskilled path. If you have a high school qualification, if you have a bachelor's degree, if you have a master's degree, specifically, what category of people qualify to undergo the EB3 unskilled category of visa?
Yeah, so really anyone can apply. So whether you're overqualified, have 10 years of experience, 10 years of education, 5 master's degrees, or no high school education or no experience, you can still apply. So for the EB3 unskilled process, USCIS wants to see they check for two things really: that you're eligible for a green card, and that you have a true intent to help the employer that sponsors your green card. So working for the sponsor for at least 1 year. But other than that, as far as eligibility for a green card, most people are eligible for a green card. And that's something that we check at the beginning of the process to make sure that our clients are truly eligible before they get into a process like this.
Right. So there are several jobs that anybody around the world can apply to in the United States. Why go through BDV Solutions? Where does BDV Solutions come in?
Yeah, so BDV Solutions, we have been a company and in business for over 10 years.
Mhm.
So we have a lot of experience. We have hundreds of success cases. We have a proven track record of helping individuals and their families get to a green card. We have a team that's dedicated, a different team, but a whole team as under BDV that helps our applicants from the very first step to finding these employers that are eligible for the EB3 and skilled process, and that have these labor shortages and are going to be, good employees and good environments, good working conditions for our applicants to go to helping relocation, helping find housing, schools for children, a government relations team that works directly with USCIS, lobbying in Washington, D.C. for immigration. So we have a bunch of different team that kind of sets us apart from a lot of other immigration services, because we have that experience and we've kind of gone through a lot of different types of cases and hurdles, and we've gotten to a point where we really kind of have it down packed and we really know, we've learned from our mistakes and other things. So yeah.
Awesome. So, if you're just tuning in, you're not late. I'm speaking with Sarah from BDV Solutions, and we are talking about the EB3 category of visa. Now, what we are saying is that you do not necessarily have to have a high school or college degree. You can move to the United States, and there are companies that are available to sponsor your visa. Even with your family, you can do this. Now, this is where BDV Solutions come in. They have these companies that are, having labor shortages. They are going to link you up with them and also help you with the process of acquiring your visa in order to come to the US to work for these companies. So it makes life super easier. If you are supposed to search for these companies on your own, it's going to be hectic. Go through BDV Solutions. They have the company. So you get to create an account, sign a contract, select a job, and then the city, the state you're going to, and also how much you're going to be paid before you even sign the contract. Now, when you sign the contract, they are going to take you through the process, including how you could acquire your visa from your home country, or even if you want to adjust, your status into a green card. So let's talk about timelines. We know that immigration processes take time, compared to non-immigrant visas. How long does it take? If I should sign a contract today with BDV Solutions with a hope that I'm going to get a job, move from maybe Africa, somewhere, South Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, to the US, how long would it take for this whole process to be successful?
Yeah, so processing times, as we all know, are often changing. This is an immigration process that's in the hands of USCIS. So we see different steps taking different amount of times for each client and every year. A lot of people think that this, even though it's called the EB3 visa, they think that it's a non-immigrant visa where they're going to come and work and then just be legal in the US. This is a green card process where both parties are kind of benefiting. You get a green
Mhm.
card and the sponsor gets someone to help them with that labor shortage. So it is a longer process. Every country, every person, every year is different. On average, for the last couple of years that we've seen, about 3 to 5 years is what it's taking. And that's from the very first step until you're having your green card in hand. Depends on if you're doing adjustment of status in the US. Somewhere before that, you already filed a green card application, you're already in a new pending status, and you get a work permit before your green card. For consular processing, for people outside of the US doing the entire process from their home countries, then they are doing those 3 to 5 years outside of the US and coming in on an approved green card. So a lot of people do have that misconception that it is a non-immigrant visa, because it sounds like it would be. It's a visa, but it's really a green card process. So it's not a quick one, but it ends with a permanent residency.
Awesome. So if one gets the EB3 visa and gets to the United States, you know, can they work for a different company apart from the company that sponsored them? So, for example, BDV Solutions match an applicant A to, let's say, Wendy's, which is absolutely fine. You know, can that individual find a side hustle or work for a different company when they come in, with, the specific company that sponsored them?
Yeah. So as part of the EB3 unskilled process, again, that's what USCIS needs to see that true intent. So as long as you're prioritizing the sponsor and making sure you're showing up to your shifts, being a good employee, what you do outside of that is totally fine. So you can have side jobs, you can have side part-time skill jobs, you can have you do, Uber or whatever it is, work at a restaurant. So the days that you have off or the hours that you're not working with your sponsor, you're free to do other things to obviously help you financially throughout that year. But yeah, the green card that you're getting, another misconception is that the green card that you get is restricted or conditional to unskilled labor. You'll have to work for that sponsor for the rest of your life, or unskilled labor for the rest of your life. It isn't. It's just fulfilling that commitment with the sponsor for at least 1 year. And then the green card that you get lets you, move on and do whatever you want after that, committing or fulfilling that commitment with the sponsor.
Awesome. So for international students on, F1 visa, M1, J1, do they also qualify? Is the process different when you're in the United States? And is it different when you're outside the US?
So it's a little different, but it's the same basic steps. So the first step of the process is something called the labor certification, where the Department of Labor is checking the sponsor to make sure that they did everything correctly to have become a sponsor. That's the same for both inside and outside the US. The next step is an I-140 that the attorney is filing the I-140. That is a petition for an immigrant worker. That is the same for people inside and outside the US. There is where it kind of goes into two different lanes. So if you're in the US, you're waiting to file your green card and a work permit application. For people on F1, J1, whatever it is, they have to be able to maintain that status at least until that green card application can get filed. That green card application, it's called an I-485. It's the adjustment of status application. So obviously you need a status to adjust from when you're filing. So having to maintain the F1, J1, whatever it is, until that green card application gets filed. And then work permit is getting filed at the same time. So they're waiting for a work permit. They'll get their work permit before getting their green card, so they actually can start working for their sponsor sooner, and start counting up that at least a year. For counselor processing, and then back to adjustment of status first. While they're working for their sponsor, their green card application has already been filed. So it's already processing, and they're waiting for their final interview to be scheduled. They'll get those green cards, and then just depending on how long they've already worked for their sponsor up until that time, they might still have some time left, or they might have already fulfilled that commitment. It just depends on when they get that green card. For counselor processing, same thing, same labor certification, same I-140. It's a green card application that will get sent to the National Center of Visas and then get sent to their local U.S. embassy. From there, it's out of our control. It's out of USCIS's control. That embassy is the one that has to schedule that interview. So that's where it kind of differs, because that can change the processing times. Some embassies are faster than others. Some are slower. So it's up to the embassy to schedule that final interview. They'll go to the interview, and they aren't getting like physical green cards at the interview, because the U.S. doesn't mail green cards outside of the U.S.
Right.
So they'll get a temporary visa that is basically USCIS saying you've been approved a green card. That allows them to travel into the U.S. And then once they actually reach the U.S., that's where their green card gets mailed to them, and that's when they start working for their sponsor. So it's basic same steps, except obviously one outside the U.S. And then counselor obviously is not getting a work permit before green card, because they're not in the U.S. and they don't need a work permit.
Awesome. So you're still here on the Fred Effects YouTube channel. We are live on Facebook, we are live on X, TikTok, and also on Instagram. Today, we are talking about a category of visa that would allow you to come to the US and work and also get green card. Now, Sarah, let's talk about family. A lot of people have family, kids, you have a spouse. If an individual is going through the process, does it cover their family as well?
So the dependents can join in on the process. It can be the spouse and any children under the age of 21.
Okay.
Unfortunately, parents, mother, father cannot be
Mhm.
unless they are the main applicant and the dependents, their children are less than 21 and they can be dependents under the case. But yes, the dependents can also join in onto the process. They'll get the same exact things that the main applicant will. So if they're doing adjustment of status, they get green card and work permit if they're of age to get a work permit. And the dependent can work wherever they want. They don't have to work for the sponsor. They'll all go to the green card interview together. Same thing for people outside the US. They'll all go to the interview together, travel into the US together, get their green cards together.
All right. So we will talk about the pricing and we talk about whether there is a payment plan. If somebody is outside the United States, how do they pay? Do BDV Solutions accept Master or Visa card? We'll talk about that. But remember, you can send your questions in advance. I'm talking to Sarah from BDV Solutions for you to understand how the EB3 unskilled category of visa works. Now, if you are thinking about relocating to the US, the best way would be to use the EB3 visa, which gives you an opportunity to work and as well as get a green card, which would also cover your family as well. So this is a huge opportunity. Now, BDV Solutions wouldn't allow you to stress to go and look for the company. They have the partnership with the company. Now, all you need to do is to sign up with them. They match you with a company. You see the job you're going to do, how much you're going to pay per hour. You choose which state you want to stay in even before you sign the contract. So this is amazing. Now let's go to the BDV Solutions website. In case this is your first time seeing the BDV Solutions website, this is how it looks like. Very beautiful website. And what happens is that you have an opportunity to create an account. So you can create an account. So when you click on sign up, it's free. So when you sign up, you'll be able to apply or create an account, and then you upload your CV, you upload your passport for BDV to determine your eligibility. Now remember, so the whole process is well structured such that if you don't qualify, then you don't have to waste your time proceeding. Then you have an opportunity to see the jobs available, and I'm going to show you some of the jobs real quick. So you decide what job you want to do, how much they are going to pay you. It's being indicated on the website. Then you pick which state. So for example, in Chicago, Illinois, there is a crew member, and over here you're being paid 15 per hour. If you want to become a dishwasher in Chicago, there is a 17 per hour job as well. So all these jobs are in Illinois, Chicago, and they are different states as well. So Missouri, Willow Spring is over here, 14 per hour. There is a crew member in Cape Gerdau. Did I get that correct, Sarah?
Say that one more time. I didn't hear you very
The name
well.
of the city is it Cape Gerdau? Is that correct? In Missouri.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. There's Desta in Missouri as well. There's North Carolina in a city called Wilmington. There's 11.15 per hour job over there. If you want to become an installation installer in Greensboro, North Carolina. So what I'm trying to say is that there are lots of jobs. BDV Solutions have partnership with the companies already. Now, the struggle for most people when they want to go through this process is to get a company that is willing to file for you. Now, BDV has a connection with these, companies. All you need to do is to go through the process and then you sign up. So South Bend in Indiana is also here. There is West Lebanon. I think West Lebanon is in New Hampshire. So there are lots of jobs. So when you sign the contract, that is when you pick a job and then that is locked in. You can browse the jobs, but that if you don't sign the contract, it means that that job could be taken by another person. So let's talk about the pricing. Sarah, this is very important to a lot of people. How much
Totally.
does it cost to get BDV to help me go through this process?
Totally. Yeah, I'll go ahead. We have different payment plans and different options for both adjustment and counselor, and I'm happy to go through all of it. Obviously, for all of these things, everything's already included. So document fees, government fees, attorney fees, premium processing, our consulting fee, an Argo Visa prep interview. So Argo Visa is our sister company. The people that work at Argo Visa are former USCIS officers, people who have given these interviews. So they help all of our applicants prepare for the real interview. So all of that is included. I will go out and straightforward say it is an expensive process, but it is not a visa. It is a GreenCard. It's an investment in the future for sure. But yeah, let's go ahead. Adjustment of status. There's 2 payment plans. Payment plan A, you're making the first payment of $6,000 to start the process. And then you don't pay anything until after that first step has been approved. So after about a year, you'll be making the second payment of $15,980. Option A totals to be $21,980. Option B is the same first payment of $6,000 to start the process, and then 1 month later, starting monthly installments. So 1 month later, after $6,000, it would be $824.17 for 2 years. That one totals to be $25,780. Options. So those are the totals for adjustment of status. Counselor processing for people outside of the U.S. typically was a more expensive process because it's a longer process and we're with the client a lot longer and there's different steps. But as of August 1st, we've decided to do a discount for a temporary amount of time. And so we're matching the counselor cost to adjustment of status. So the first payment for option A, counselor processing, used to be $11,000 and is now $6,000 for the next 3 months.
Okay.
And so $6,000 to start the process, and then paying after about a year, the second payment of $17,420. That one will total to be $23,420 with the discount. For option B, the monthly installments, again, it's $6,000 instead of $11,000. We have updated our website now to reflect that, but $6,000. And then 1 month later, starting monthly installments of $617.22 for 3 years. And obviously the monthly installment options are a little more expensive than options A because they're financed over 2 to 3 years. So that one totals to be $28,220. And again, all that is included in that price.
Awesome. So thank you for explaining that. So what Sarah is saying is that if you're already in the US, then your process will be an adjustment of status. So if you're on any category of visa, whether a B1, B2, you are on F1, M1, F2, M2, any non-immigrant category of visa, which means that you already have a visa, so you're in the United States, yours will be an adjustment of status. But if you're in your home country and you're studying, there are 2 options. There is a first option, which is option A, which allows you to divide the payment into 2. So you pay $6,000, the entire process begins, and we are talking in terms of dollars. And then, the second payment will be $17,420. However, if you think that, a monthly payment will be something that you are comfortable with, then you go for option B, where you pay the first $6,000, the entire process begins, but you have an opportunity to divide the whole payment into monthly payments. Now, I love what Sarah said, that this is not a visa. This is something that is leading into GreenCard. So it's an investment into the future. Imagine you have a family of 3, a man, a wife, and then a kid, and then they are all going to get GreenCard when the man signs up. This is absolutely incredible. So for Sarah, what has been some of the success stories that you can share with us?
Yeah, totally. So on our website, we also have some of the success stories. So we have a lot of case studies and testimonials from clients that wanted to share their story with other people. And throughout our social medias, we have a lot of timelines that we'll post from, longer processes to shorter processes, so everyone can see how different everyone else is. So you can find those on our direct website or on our social medias. We have a lot of our actual BDV employees who were former clients and got their green cards, finished their time with their sponsor, fulfilled their commitment, and decided to then start working at BDV so that they could help, others achieve the same thing that they did. So everyone's been across the board. It's a good, I don't remember the exact tab it is on our website, but those have some case studies and testimonials that people can go through and see from actual people that wrote in and sent those in.
Right. So I know BDV Solutions have partnership with a lot of companies. Those are the people that provide the employment. What are some of these companies? I hope to show some of them real quick on the screen. So yeah, there are a lot of companies that BDV Solutions already has partnerships with them. So there's Subway, which means you're going to work at a restaurant. There's McDonald's. I know there's Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell. There's Harry's and all that. And also these are some of the jobs. If you go to the website, you can explore some of the jobs. So in South Carolina, there's a food restaurant. In California, in Georgia, Missouri, Illinois, Vermont, New Hampshire. There's also North Carolina. There are lots of them. Greensboro in South Carolina. There's Pennsylvania. Almost every state is in here. So you get to explore the job you want to do, get to know how much you're going to be paid per hour before you go ahead and sign the contract. So to get started, we've already explained that you have to sign up. There's a free sign up here. I have already created an account. That's why it takes me directly into my account. But yeah, if I log out, then you when you click on the sign up, it takes you directly to the website where you can sign up for free. So when you sign up, then there is a video that will be playing to explain to you how the entire process works and how a BDV solution works. Then you get to upload your documents. So if you have a CV, you can upload it. You type in your address, you upload your passport, then you wait for BDV solutions to verify this document to prove that you indeed qualify for the process, because there's money involved. So you don't want instances where you don't qualify, we get to the middle and everything is stranded. So BDV Solutions will get back to you to let you know that, oh, okay, you qualify. So here is your contract. Take your time, go through the contract, read the contract, and then you sign. Then you make the first payment of 6,000. Then the whole process begins from there. So how long somebody would want? How long does an individual have to work with a company that BDV Solutions help their to file for somebody?
They have to work for their sponsor for at least 1 year. That's what's going to
Okay.
show USCIS that true intent. Yeah.
Awesome. And in terms of student, is there a limit? If somebody has a master's degree, a PhD, a bachelor's degree, this is a an unskilled category of labor. Is there instances where BDV has a challenge because looks like the individual has a higher qualification, to be in an unskilled labor?
Yeah, so anyone can apply. Again, we only do EB3 unskilled, so obviously all the jobs are going to be unskilled. But there isn't, USCIS can't deny someone for being overqualified.
Mhm.
We've had doctors, lawyers, engineers that do this process, and the reason that they do it is because it's more straightforward than having to do the skilled. But yeah, so anyone can apply regardless of the education and experience, lack of or too much of.
Yeah, Patrick is asking a very good question. Is it possible for you to school and work with them? So, Patrick, for example, if you're on F1 category of visa, yes, it is possible for you to start with BDV Solutions. But remember, your process has to be successful before you can leave the F1 category. Sarah, is that how it works?
Yes. So they will get to a certain point in their process where they no longer have to maintain, and actually they
Mhm.
can't really maintain. So once they file their green card application around halfway through their process, that's going to give them kind of like an extra status in the US under pending adjustment of status. Basically just means that they're waiting for a decision on the green card application and keeps them legal in the US for the rest of their process until they get their green card. During that time, they're going to get their work permit. When they get their work permit, the sponsor expects them to start working within 2 months of getting their work permit. So obviously they can't be going to school and working a full-time job at the same time, but that's
Okay.
fine because at that time they already have that pending status that's allowing them to stay in the US while they actually get their green card.
Okay. So, what sort of payment does BDV Solution accept?
So we accept debit and credit cards and wire transfers. Yeah.
Right. So, if you have a debit or Mastercard, then you can do that. Now, when it comes to the payment plan, you mentioned that it is monthly, which is around 600, per month. Does the individual has to finish making the payment before the process goes on, or the individual can get a visa appointment, get into the country, start working to continue with the payment?
Yeah, so the monthly installments, they do start while they're processing. The
Mhm.
monthly the type of payment plan doesn't affect the processing times, and it's not like you have to finish the 3 years of payments before you get your green card. It's possible that you'll already get your green card and you're already in the US and making finishing those payments. They do start immediately when they start their process, though.
Awesome. Awesome. So let's talk about any other information that you want to give, Sarah, before we allow people to come in and ask you questions.
Totally. Yeah. I just kind of want to go through the teams that we have at BDV that are basically helping at every stage of the process, like our
Mhm.
specific services that we're providing for our clients through the EB3 process. Again, we start with our development team, who are the ones vetting the sponsors, making sure that they're eligible, capable of supporting our clients. We
Right.
have a team that guides the sponsors or the employers to become a sponsor, because that process is pretty nitty gritty one, and they want to make sure everything is being filed correctly so that nothing happens during the applicant's process. So they go through that. My team that ensures that every person is knowledgeable about this process, doing one-on-one consultations, answering questions, checking eligibility, like you said, before someone can become a client. We really want make sure that everyone that becomes a B2B client is truly eligible for this process, so that they don't
Mhm.
see any kind of hurdles or denials later on in the process. We don't want to waste anyone's time and money if they're not
Yeah.
truly eligible. We were proud to work with some of the best attorneys in the country who have over 20 years of immigration experience. They're well equipped to handle all the challenges that may arise during an immigration case. They update our clients throughout their process. One of our best teams, I think, or one of our things that really sets us apart, is our government relations team. They work closely with USCIS and the Department of Labor to advocate for immigration in general in the
Mhm.
US. They live in South Carolina, but they spend most of their time in Washington, D.C., talking to people, networking, talking about the EB3 process, talking about just immigration reform in general. And they specifically help our clients. So they ensure that our clients' cases are given the attention they deserve.
Yeah.
We have our client services team that helps in various aspects of relocation. So finding housing, transportation, schools for children, religious institutions, getting a driver's license, credit scores, buying a house, all that stuff, childcare, all that stuff. They are there to help and make sure that that process is as smooth and as let try to make it's a stressful process regardless, but they try to make it a little less stressful for our applicants. So and they're there while they're working for their sponsor. Anything arises, like maybe they get sick or hurt or pregnant or anything like that while they're working for their sponsor, that team is there. We don't just get you to the green card and leave you there. We're still there after you've gotten your green card and working for the sponsor.
Okay. So, if anybody has a question about the entire process before they sign the contract, how do they get in touch with BDV Solutions?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, on our website, you can create an account on our website. It's free to do. All the onboarding is free. The onboarding is basically some videos, the cost sheet, a questionnaire. All those questions are the same exact things that USCIS is going to check for later on in the process. And that's why we check it as the very first step, to make sure, again, that we're having clients that are truly eligible. They'll get to the basic documents where they'll upload maybe their visa if they have one, or passport or government ID, so that we can confirm that it's a real person. And then once their application gets approved, they'll get to that job offerings page. That's where they're able to see all the sponsors that we have available. Each month, we may have different sponsors available. So when they finish their process to become a sponsor, we open it up to the public. Now we know that they're eligible. They have a certain amount of spots that they can
Mhm.
fill. Once they fill up, we close them and continue opening up new sponsors. So
Okay.
depends on when someone is ready to start the process and what we'll have available then. But again, all over the US in different industries, it's pretty random month by month. So you're able to see all the description of the job. So what you'll be doing at the job, the location, salary, the benefits, the filing date, all that stuff is stuff you can see before ever moving forward with BDV. Once they are ready to start their process and are ready with the first payment and, found a sponsor that they're interested in, they'll select a sponsor, sign the contract, make that first payment, and then that's when the EB3 process will commence.
Awesome. So when it comes to the payment, if an individual decides to go for the payment plan, can they later on say that, okay, I have all the money, so I want to pay the rest, everything together? Is that feasible?
Do you mean as if I did the monthly installments, but I have everything ready and now can I go ahead and pay it?
Yes, sure.
Yes. So you can pay the rest of the installments, but it's still going to be the total. So for the monthly
Okay.
installments, the total is a little more because it's financed over a certain amount of time. But yes, you can pay upfront if you have it.
What about an individual signing the contract, making the payment, and later on say that, okay, right now I'm no more interested in the process? Is the money refundable? How about that?
So we don't do refunds. Obviously, we
Mhm.
take it case by case, but normally we don't do refunds because we split the payments up to where we're using the
Right.
funds when we're actually doing something with them. So the first payment is to cover finding a sponsor, the labor certification, the prevailing wages, all that stuff. If
Mhm.
they pick payment option A and they're like in the middle of the process, they haven't made their second payment, they just wouldn't be getting refunded the first payment. They just wouldn't make the second payment. It depends on where they are in the process. They don't have to continue the monthly installments, but because we split the payments up in the matter of we're using that money for your process, if someone
Mhm.
decides to drop out just because they don't want to continue it, they wouldn't be able to get refunded what we've already used for their process up to that point.
Awesome. We have close to 1,000 people watching us live right now. Remember that
Great.
if you just joined us, you're not missing anything. All the video will still be live across all the Fred Effect social media platforms on X, on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram, and also on TikTok. So you can rewatch and take a pen and a paper. We've outlined all the steps you need to go through. The first one is to just create an account. It doesn't matter what qualification you have, whether you have a master's degree, a PhD, a bachelor's degree, a high school qualification, a college degree, whatever. Even if you did you so Sarah, let's understand this. An individual would simply have to be able to understand and speak English, correct?
Correct. Yeah, that's really the only requirement from the sponsors. Um, Being able to have a basic level of conversational English by the time they start working for the sponsors. So usually it's a couple years before they're actually working with the sponsors. So they have time if they don't have a great level of English at this moment when they sign up.
Mhm.
They have some time before then that they can, improve their English. But yeah, the sponsors are just wanting to be able to communicate to their employees, explain the job, the training, all the precautions. So it's just a basic level, but they do require that before starting the work.
So at the moment, if one is on a green card, after 5 years, they are able to get citizenship. Does BDV Solutions assist with that?
We don't in general, but we do have our client services team that kind of will guide them before getting to that point.
Mhm.
That client services team again is there to help people even after getting their green card. So it's not something that we do the application for. It's actually a very simple process. I did it this year.
Yeah.
It's just an online process that you don't really need an attorney for. But client services is more than happy to help guiding people in that way. They have a whole handbook, guidebook for that they give our clients when they get to that point in the process about every possible thing that they would need to transition their life to the US.
Okay. So when a client selects a certain category of job, maybe a crew member somewhere in Missouri, later on in the process, can they change to a different state, maybe because they have a friend in that state, a family member? Is it possible that I select a certain state, a certain job, and later on in the process, I want to switch to a different job? Is that possible?
So not necessarily, because even though you may have a sponsor that's like a huge franchise, one of the steps for that sponsor to become an employee to become a sponsor is proving a labor shortage in that specific location.
Mhm.
So just because it's a McDonald's doesn't mean that every McDonald's in the US is able to sponsor a foreign national, because they have to go through a
Yeah.
long process where they're making sure they're not taking jobs away from Americans, that they have the finances to do it.
Mhm.
So that's the whole point of the labor certification,
Right.
proving to the Department of Labor that that specific location was the one that had a labor shortage, has the finances to pay the foreign national the wages set by the Department of Labor. So it's not, there are some instances where it depends on the situation where we're able to port somebody to a different sponsor. Like if
Mhm.
we had another sponsor in a different location that was under the same like category and like another crew member position, it could be possible, but generally it's not, because again, that sponsor is, that specific location is the one that's petitioning for the foreign national.
All right. So Mami is watching us on Facebook. She's asking this question: will the price increase at the when the process begins, or is fixed price? So I guess what she's trying to ask is that, should I sign the contract today? Can the price increase, or it stays the same?
So our prices, when someone becomes a client, they're signing a contract that states the payment plans, and so
Mhm.
they are not they won't increase our costs. If for some reason possibly USCIS increases their filing fees, then they would have to pay the difference. That's not typical, but that's stated in the contract so everyone knows. But that's not really something that usually happens. Our prices wouldn't change because we have that contract and we have to honor that contract.
Awesome. So, I think Anderson, we've responded to this question. You said, "Can international students apply?" Yes, Anderson. Sarah explained that international students can apply. Um,
Yes.
Okay, so I think you are the salesperson for one, David. Yeah, David, Sarah is in touch with you. That's awesome to know. So I'm sharing the link which you can use to create an account on the comment section. Remember, I shared the link you can use to join us live in the studio, and then you can interact directly with Sarah. If you just join us, you're not missing. So we've been discussing how you can relocate to the US with an assured job, and possibly also with your family if you have one, to work in the US. Now, Sarah, let's understand that the spouse and then the dependent of the principal applicant has no contract with BDV, and so they are not having an assured job. It's only the principal applicant. Is that correct?
Correct. So the dependent, if possibly the sponsor at the time that the main applicant goes to work or
Mhm.
comes to the US and starts work, they may need people. We have a lot of people that their spouse works with them at their sponsored location. If that
Okay.
sponsor is hiring, that's a possibility for them to join that job as well. But they're
Okay.
not obligated to work for this. Well, no one really is obligated, but for the green card, the main applicant does have to show that intent.
Mhm.
So the main applicant will work for the sponsor, and the dependent can work wherever they want.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. So that is it. We've been talking to Sarah from BDV Solutions. BDV Solutions, it would help you, relocate to the US to have an assured job on a path to getting a green card. And obviously, after 5 years, you can get into a citizenship and all that. So Sarah has been talking to us and explaining how the process works. We've explained how much it's going to cost you. There's an option for a payment plan, but the payment are usually divided into two. So the first payment would be 6,000 as at the time we're having this conversation. And so if you get to sign up, you pay the first 6,000, you select the job you want to do, and the process begins. Now you have an opportunity to divide the payment into monthly installments for over 3 years, which is awesome. And so it's a long-term investment. And I love what Sarah said, that this is a long-term investment, and this is not a visa, this is a green card. So comparatively, it's one of the cheapest in terms of getting a permanent residence in the US. Sarah, I really appreciate your time, and thank you for the insight and all that. So let's talk about any final words to anybody who had the opportunity to watch us today.
Yeah, absolutely. It really was a pleasure to be here, answer all these questions, talk about BDV, some more of the EB3 process. I'm really passionate and I love working here because, again, I'm an immigrant myself, and being able to help others and seeing people get their green cards and then come and visit us, and or us showing up to their sponsors and seeing them, with their families. It's very gratifying work. So I love being able to spread the word to people that may not know the EB3 process. I'm really happy to talk to anyone. I know David said that I'm already his sales rep in BDV account. So once you create an account on our website, you'll be assigned a BDV rep, and they'll reach out to you. There's a little chat box. It's a little blue circle. You can send a chat, and it'll send it to your sales rep to answer any questions. If you have any personal questions that you might have not wanted to ask in a chat box, or if you want to ask, or if you want to have like a one-on-one consultation for any specific questions, we're happy to do that. And it's all free to do on the onboarding, just to answer any questions and check eligibility.
Sarah, before you go, somebody's asking this important question. What of the case of a visa denial? What
yes,
next?
That's good. Yeah, so for us, we have a 99% success rate because of two things. So for us, we don't accept anyone that has any reasons for rejection. So one of those very first steps that you guys will see if you create an account is that questionnaire. Those questions are copied and pasted off of a green card application. They're the same exact things that USCIS is going to check for later on in the process. And that's why, again, we check it before you even make any kind of payment to BDV, because we just don't want to waste people's time and money and get to it later on and then they get denied. So that's one of the reasons. The second reason is that in the contract that we sign with every applicant, we state that if at any point in the process there's a denial and it's not the applicant's fault, it's not because of something they did to make themselves ineligible for the process, then we'll do what's necessary to keep the process going at no extra cost. For the EB3 unskilled process, it's very, very unlikely, close to impossible for USCIS to deny someone who is truly eligible for a green card and has that intent and goes to work for their sponsor. So if they're denied throughout their process and they are still eligible, there's a lot of things that our attorneys can do to continue the process to get them to a green card. So doing appeals or refiles or reconsiderations, that's what those attorneys are there for. Typically, they're not having to do those things, but in the last 10 years, we've seen those cases where we're able to just refile and keep the process going rather than denial and then you're out of luck and your process ends. If you're still eligible, we can do a lot to keep the process going. So yeah.
Awesome. It's been a great conversation. A lot of people have been blessed by, the insights you've given us about the EB3 unskilled category of visa. And to make things very easy, BDV Solutions have the companies. They are going to hold your hand and guide you through the process. It's so easy. So I'll share the link so you can easily create an account, sign up, check your eligibility. When you qualify, BDV Solutions will get back to you. So all you need is your email. You have to get a scanned copy of your passport. If you're already in the US, you get a scanned copy of your visa that you're already on. And then of course you produce an address, your phone number, and then you create an account. You check your eligibility. Once you're eligible, BDV Solutions gets back to you, let you know, hey Fred, you qualify, and so let's get started. Now you go ahead and select a job, you sign the contract, make the first payment, and then the process begins from there. So this is super great, and a lot of people are excited about this opportunity. So we hope to get in touch with BDV Solutions to start our green card process very soon. All right. So guys, if you just tune in, remember the session will still be live on the Fred Effect social media platforms. Please subscribe and like. We bring some of these information to you so that you can also think about relocating and making changes to your life journey as you progress. My name has been Fred. Sarah, thank you very much for joining us. And this is the Fred Effect. So remember, I will share the link in the YouTube video description, the Facebook description, and on the social media platform so that you can click on it and create an account and you start from there. If you have questions, BDV Solutions is here to respond. Obviously, you can reach out to me on Instagram and, I'll give you the necessary guidance if there need be. My name has been Fred. This is the Fred Effect. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you in another video.